Station S17, Protocol and Paradox, Chapter 19, A Dark Proposal. General Edward waltzes to Ernest's cell. He waves his hand and all of the MPs leave the brig. He tells Catherine to record his interview with Ernest for the record. General Edward opens the cell and sits next to Ernest. Ernest barely notices. All he can do is watch Alberta floating helplessly in space. General Edward starts, "That tether could malfunction at any minute and she would be gone. One minute you're talking at the dance and the next she's gone, drifting all alone, waiting to die. That is, if her life support holds for days, maybe weeks, for her to starve to death." Corporal Vincent is watching the feed from the brig. He is salivating and rubbing his hands together even more obscenely than normal. He starts singing, "Money, money, money, I love ya. Money, 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 I need ya." Back in the brig, General Edward continues, "You have broken so many regulations this week, it will take me months to review and document everything. Then there is the tribunal. We must be fair and impartial. We will need to wait for a general from another station that will take a few more months. Who knows what will happen to that tether during all of that? Then we can start with her trial." Ernest looks at General Edward. "What do you want?" The general smiles and replies, "What's best for the station. It's always what's best for the station. I'm here to give you a choice. It would save us some time if you simply confess. You would need to leave the station. It's a 4-year trip, one way. As you know, to serve your time, you won't be in stasis. When you get to Station K5, you can start over mining titanium ore. They'll be very happy to have you." Ernest's eyes finally tear themselves away from Alberta. He looks at General Edward, truly looks at him, for the first time in years. "And if I don't?" General Edward's smile fades slightly. "Then we follow the procedure. The tribunal will convene. She will likely be found guilty of gross insubordination, dereliction of duty, and conspiracy to defraud the station through illegal gambling. The maximum sentence for those combined charges is life imprisonment, or, more likely, permanent deep space exile without a tether." He gestures vaguely out the window towards Alberta's distant suspended form. "Imagine that, but permanent, a slow, agonizing end. And you, my dear godson, will face similar charges for your numerous infractions. The end most likely will be worse for you. You might not make it on K5 at all." Ernest's gaze flickered between General Edward's unyielding face and the distant speck of Alberta's cell. The thought of her slowly dying, alone in the void, was a torment worse than any physical pain he had endured. He thought of her laugh, her fire, the tender moments they had shared, and the bright, eager faces of his students. He couldn't condemn her, or them, to this fate. The words, thick with the taste of ash, formed on his tongue, but nothing came out. Ernest's gaze turns back to Alberta. The silence stretches, heavy with the fate of 2 lives. He sees her, brave and unyielding, even in helplessness. He thinks of her laughter, her quiet moments of vulnerability, the way her eyes lit up when she spoke of her work. He remembers the warmth of her hand in his, despite her initial aggression. He thinks of the students, their eager faces, their trust in him. He can't let this happen to her. He can't let it happen to them. "What about the students?" Ernest asks, his voice barely a whisper. "They'll be reassigned," General Edward says, dismissively. "The station will adapt. It always does." Ernest closes his eyes, a single tear tracing a path down his battered cheek. The choice is agonizing, but clear. "I confess," he rasps, the words tearing from his throat. "I broke into the Sadie Hawkins dance. I tampered with official records. I consorted with a military officer knowing it was against regulations. I am guilty of all charges." General Edward's smile returns, wider this time. "Excellent, Ernest. A man of honor, like your father. Catherine, record Ernest's full confession. Prepare the departure protocols for Ernest's immediate transfer to Station K5. And release Alberta from her tether and brig cell with a full medical evaluation. Her disciplinary action will be commuted to an internal review. Ernest flinches at the word commuted, but doesn't speak. His eyes are fixed on the speck that is Alberta's cell, praying for its safe retrieval. Later, in his classroom, Ernest stands before his confused and somber students. The news of his impending departure has spread like wildfire. He tries to smile, but it's a weak imitation. "Class," he begins, his voice thick with emotion. "I have to go on a very long trip, an adventure, you could say." A small girl, Luna, raises her hand. "Is it like a military adventure, Mr. Baker?" Ernest's smile becomes a little more genuine. "Yes, Luna, it's exactly like a military adventure. A very, very long one." He tells them stories of Station K5, not the bleak reality, but a romanticized version, a place of brave miners and unexplored asteroid fields. He encourages them to keep learning, to be curious, to always seek their own adventures. He reminds them of the joy of discovery, the importance of friendship, and the quiet heroism of everyday life. He shook each of their hands, offered a warm embrace to the smallest ones, and promised to send video checking on their progress to each of them. As he turned to leave, a student, Alex, calls out, "Mr. Baker, will you ever come back?" Ernest pauses at the door, looking back at their hopeful, trusting faces. He wants to lie, to give them comfort. But he remembers General Edwards' words, "The truth is all we have in space." He simply nods, a silent promise he isn't sure he can keep. He exits the classroom, the weight of his decision pressing down on him.